What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanchi. And y'all, we are here with the season 2 finale of the epic Dale and Helen saga in the Newsreader. Now, this is just a quick disclaimer. If my energy seems a little bit low, it's literally because I'm PMSing. It has nothing to do with how I felt about the episode and how much I like the show. Sometimes, people who experience PMS, don't nobody care about you. You still gotta work. Bills still need to be paid. And who else knows all about pushing through their feelings and putting on a happy face? Because don't nobody give a fuck about what they're going through. Dale Jennings. Now, I've been thinking all night and all day how I want to approach this finale. The episode itself was an hour and 2 minutes. Um, while I do have um podcast episodes and I also have stuff on my YouTube channel that's not on the podcast. For those of you who listen to me on the podcast but don't follow on YouTube, there'll be some other exclusive things on there where I talk for over an hour because at this point y'all already know how I know how to yap. But I want to approach this. I think I landed on, as far as like a full season 2 like review recap. Definitely want to touch on a lot of things in this episode, but I ended up having so many like secondary thoughts behind what I was seeing. And so there was like a lot of events, but then my mind just kind of started thinking about, okay, like what's the layers underneath these characters? Why are they making these choices? And what do these decisions look like in the long run? What are the consequences and the outcomes look like in the long run? So I ended up having just more of like, when you get to the end of a book and it's like book club prompt questions, that's a lot of my notes versus just, regurgitating, some of the different dynamics and stuff from the episode. So that's kind of how we're going to tailor this today. And then I have like, before I go into like my final thoughts and just kind of like some of the layering, there is something that was very glaring that I felt at the end of this episode that I was like, no, I have to address this on the pod. So without further ado, we're coming into this episode. It's post breakup. And the first thing Dale must do is get on Jerry's couch and be the sole person responsible for speaking out about the relationship status between him and Helen. Helen is out getting dicked down. Okay, she's out doing drugs. She's out doing cocaine. She is getting drunk. She's falling up the stairs. She's doing all of these things, living her worst life. Okay. And Dale having to battle all of the rumors that he was telling her, like, hey, we need to come up with a plan on how we are going to confront this. And she was all like, that's all that you care about. But it's practical. Yes, I can accept the breakup and it's going to hurt, but let's at least have a united front as we approach this with do I got this microphone on? I'm sorry, PMS brain, y'all. I panicked a little bit. But yeah, he's like, okay, let's still approach this as coworkers. Let's approach this as friends. We still love each other. Like, what's up with that? So he has to do this all by himself. Now, to his credit, Dale is so good now at putting that mask on, and Sam Reed's acting. I like, whatever. I'm a stand. The opening scene, he's standing next to the camera, and there is just dread in his face. He knows what's coming. Jerry's doing the introduction, and he's just like, oh my God. Like, he would rather be anywhere else. He probably would want to throw up in the trash can next to him. But the moment his name is introduced, it's like a whole shift. Like, Dale is becoming a personification of himself. And in this opening shot, you really see a shift of like, okay, there's an innocence here. And now I need to become the newsreader that people know me for. And I really loved that Jerry was being provocative, but also keeping the space safe enough so that Dale could say what he needed to say and not feel pressured or sensationalized behind his relationship. And you see that when the segment is over and they shake hands, but Jerry literally like gives him a nod, and you can see Dale looking like super relieved and just very appreciative that if he was going to break this news anywhere else, it would be in the presence of his friend. But during this episode, like, y'all know the entire season, ever since Jerry kind of came along, I love how Jerry sees Dale and how he attempts to take care of Dale in the way that his wife takes care of him, and probably just in the way that he would want other men in the workplace for sure to take care of each other as well. So it's definitely in like there's like always been like a blanket, don't ask, don't tell for anybody. I mean, look at the lavender laws, and like they were literally locking people up for being gay and having gay relationships. And quick caveat, if you haven't seen I think it's called Fellow Travelers, let me not lie to y'all, with Jonathan Bailey and Matthew Bomer, Fellow Travelers on Showtime, that really kind of highlights AIDS epidemic, the lavender laws. I mean, if we look at what's happening in the world, in the US right now, that's something that's really big. And it may not have necessarily been a lavender law in Australia. I don't know that for sure. But it was still like, don't ask, don't tell. But more importantly, don't get caught. And in this episode, Jerry is caught in what they call indecent exposure. And, his wife is doing everything that she can to, help him keep his head in the game. And Jerry calls Dale over because, like, you're my friend. And they're having a conversation in the living room, and, Jerry's talking, and, his wife is handling everything. And Dale's like, okay, seems like y'all got everything under control. Why am I here? And Jerry's like, listen, I need you to go to bat for me at work. Right now, this is what it is, but there's nothing that anybody can prove. My wife is getting a lawyer. We're going to fight this. And, Dale's like, okay, or else like what if I can't? And the energy kind of shifts in the room because the conversation ends up feeling a little bit more blackmail-y, even though Jerry lands on, I would do the same thing for you. But I just think, Jerry's eyes are red. He's clearly crying. He's clearly upset. He was in jail all night. He's brought shame to himself. He's brought a spotlight to his family, especially when his wife is understanding of him being bisexual. But it's just a spotlight that they don't need because she is a woman of importance in society. So embarrassment, shame, his job is on the line, and the only person in the workplace who is like him is Dale. And so, Dale's like, sure, I believe that you would do this for me. And so everything seems cool, everything seems kosher until there's this lady, Donna Gillies, she's going around trying to interview people and asking them about Dale and an interesting relationship between him and an unknown cameraman. So she went to Helen, she went to Geoff. Who else did she go to? I feel like she went, oh, no, Evelyn just found out through Geoff. But she's basically, she went to Tim. She went to Tim directly. And this kind of shakes a lot of stuff up because now it's Dale's job too. Like, she's over here literally talking to people who he works directly with. These aren't some people that's just on the outskirts of things. These are people who can form an opinion, or at least her questioning can solidify thoughts that they already had in the back of their heads. Yeah, they may have looked at Dale as queer in the general sense of just being, weird, being different, being quirky or whatever. But to them, Helen appeared to be happy. And by all intents and purposes, their sex life was great. Dale was dicking her down. So that was like never anything in there. And they had finally gotten to a point where, he was at least able to begin comfortably speaking to her about his desires for men. But then he also had Jerry to talk to as well as a man and not his partner. And, being able to navigate what these feelings feel like, what the professional world looks like for somebody like him. And that's whether he acts on it or not. All you need is for somebody to believe that you are, and it becomes a thing. So at this point, Dale believes that Jerry is the one leaking the information. Now, I'm going to stop here because I don't think that Jerry is leaking the information. I think Charles is leaking the information. And I believe it's Charles because when Evelyn came over to Helen's house and Helen told him to stay in her bedroom or whatever, and Evelyn's like, listen, thank you for doing what you did for my daughter, but I just came here as a courtesy. Like, it's some rumors. This lady is going around asking about Dale and a cameraman. I just want to give you a heads up. Woman to woman. Private woman to another private woman. You protected my family. I know you care for Dale, whether y'all broke up or not. I'm going to give you the opportunity to care for yours. And Charlie comes out. So she kicks Evelyn out, but then Charlie's like, basically, he called him everything but flat out the F word. And Helen's like, get the fuck out of my house. And so in that moment, obviously Helen's not necessarily putting two and two together, but it just seems like, what would make Charlie say this without ever really having a conversation with Dale? The reason I think Charlie is the one behind the rumors is because you have been plotting on Helen in the first place, and you could not understand how someone like Helen could be interested in somebody like Dale, and how somebody like Dale could pull somebody like Helen. And it just seems very like hater, like snake in the grass type of behavior for Charlie to be the one to plant these seeds, especially because you lost your fucking job. Like, you're literally sitting at home twiddling your thumbs. You ain't got no fucking hobby. And you was still constantly on Helen's line, constantly calling her work. You called her work, and I feel like that was on purpose. You called her work knowing the type of relationship and the work environment that she has with Dale. They work in the office. They enjoy working together. They enjoy living together, even with the disagreements. They are best friends. This man saved her life, protected her secret, even up until now. Even Lindsay going behind her back trying to sabotage her new job, talking about she had a mental breakdown. She didn't walk off set. She had a mental breakdown. The argument that he had with her was so nasty, so disgusting. You're going to have bipolar breakdown, schizophrenic, you're going to be, and all of this, like, just being nasty as fuck. And I'm going to get back to him. But even in all of that, Dale has never once weaponized any of the things that they've gone through. Ever. He's always been on her side. And somebody like Charlie Tate, he can only buy that type of affection. And because it has to be bought, it's never going to be anything long lasting. And so it's just giving me Charlie did it. But because Dale thinks that Jerry did it, after he had already went to bat and told Lindsay and Dennis, like, I don't give a fuck about none of the shit that y'all talking about. Jerry is my friend. He's going to be on the show. And he goes back and he reneges on it. And so Jerry ends up sneaking past Lindsay and Dennis and going to see Dale live on set. And Dale kind of gets flustered a little bit because he wasn't expecting getting confronted with his own backstabbing. And what does Dale do again? We have another shift. And he quickly acknowledged Jerry, and Jerry was directly next to that fucking camera where the teleprompter was. And he just flipped this switch so fast and went on about his news like it was nothing. And Jerry walked off. And I'm just like, Dale, in season 3, buddy, you are setting yourself up to have nothing and no one. This was the wrong move, because even if that was your suspicion, why didn't you go to him? Jerry has been so open, so honest, and so vulnerable. But you went and did this behind his back. This is the first time that I wanted to punch Dale in the fucking face. Like, instantly, like the bubble of just gooey and warmth and chocolate chip cookies and a teddy bear fresh out of, I was about to say the oven, I'm hungry, fresh out of the dryer, and you just cuddle with it underneath your heated blanket. Like, literally, Dale did that to Jerry, and it was like cuddling with a Beanie Baby. Like, it just started to fracture some things as Dale himself is becoming undone and turning into somebody that we do not know. This is not season 1's Dale. This is not even season 2, episode 1 Dale. This is somebody, now you're just somebody that I used to know, somebody. That is basically who Dale is. And you see it in this cold architectural home that he just bought. Even his mama was like, so it's very sterile. And she's like, I'm not judging. Like, it's cool, whatever do you. And again, facial expressions are very key in this episode for sure. Always in every episode, because when they get on air, they have to mask themselves anyway. So the whole show is about mask wearing. It's about presenting your false self and your false self constantly at battle with your true self and then everybody else around you. But in this finale in particular, it is very much like a Jekyll and Hyde situation happening. Like, have you ever watched a scary movie and it's like, oh, okay, I'll give you one. I think a lot of people seen this one. Sinners. He walks into the church and his daddy turned to him and he's like, come on, son, come to the altar. And as he takes a step, it like, and you see the vampire blood in like a flash. And he takes a couple of more steps and then you hear people screaming and it's like another image. And so as you see Dale's facial expression throughout this entire episode, it's really like flashes of this evil thing that is looking to push forward in this whole episode. And we get to the end where Dale does go and see Helen, and it seems like Helen is, coming to the light or whatever, and she purposely missed her flight to the US because she's got a new job to cover the election that's coming up. And she's like, I am literally nothing without you. Like, I cannot do this thing. I am in love with you. You set me free. I can't do this thing called life without you here with me. And Dale gives this look like, huh. And I knew then, I said, oh, this motherfucker is completely transformed. And he goes, I love you too, but girl, get on that plane. Like, this is not for us. And it's so heartbreaking because you can just see in this moment that the grief, the pain, the rejection, the potential emotional cheating that Helen was doing this entire time while accusing him of stepping out on her with men, him feeling like his friend has been stabbing him in the back, all that he's worked for at this job, all of it has taken over. And the Dale that she knew is unreachable in this moment. He is totally unreachable. And, she says, what do I do? And he wipes a tear off her face and he says, you do what you always do. You get the job done. And I think in that moment, it was such a blend of the old Dale and the new cold Dale. Because even in season 1, whenever she was working like that time she was working, but he wanted to do like a romantic date. He was like, okay, well, come out of the car when you're done. Like, he's always let her do her job. He's never kept her away from it, no matter how late, no matter where she needed to go. Even if he disagreed, he stood back and he let her do her job. But in this moment, it was also breakup words as well. So it was like full circle from season 1 Dale to this moment, but she knew looking at him that he is somebody else. And you can just see like the resolve in her face where she's like, I did this and I have to accept it. So she allows him to encourage her to get on the plane, and he called Donna Gillies over to their used to be shared house. And Donna was like, where the fuck is Helen? And he said, Helen is not here, bitch. Listen up. You've been asking about me, but you couldn't come say it to my face? I'm talking now. See, you want to go run this little story off of things that you can't even prove, and you want to dig into my private life. But let me tell you who the fuck I am. I am Dale, get this shit done Jennings, okay? The people listen to me. They watch my face. They trust what I have to say. And so if you want a career in this town, you're going to kill this story because I can get you the exclusivity and the exposure that you need to thousands, potentially millions of people for years to come. But if you run this story and I'm not there, who will even know that you exist? And also if you run it, I might still be there and I will fucking own you and your rollers for this ugly ass hairstyle. And so they come to a nice amicable agreement, and I just was like, wow, what an ending. So there's that. That's like the bulk of basically everything, like Dale's journey from innocence to this monster. Now, my first thought that really like was blaring at me when I got to the end of this episode, this should have been 2 episodes, or some of these things moved into the minutes of other episodes. It was a lot. You have the showdown between Lindsay and Helen, and he was so degrading and so disgusting and really trying to break her and hitting her where he knows it hurts the most. And even in this almost back and forth, because he ended up basically just shitting on her the whole time, she told him, you know, nobody in here likes you, just ask Dennis. And he was like, I come to fucking work. Do you think I give a shit about any of them being my friends? But he harps on her mental health, and he digs to the point where he probably created a whole new mental health problem, because even the rumors and stuff that he was saying to her new boss is starting to affect how they view her as well, because he does not want her to succeed. And this really speaks to these hater ass men in this series. The men fucking suck. The men fucking suck. And Dale, there's a little suck going in here with you as well. And in this moment, as Helen is walking out, and oh my God. I wish this wasn't written in the script, but this is also the moment where she realized how important Dale is in these moments, because she's walking out, but she's barely holding on. She's like stabilizing herself against the wall, and she's kind of like taking the walk of shame out of the office. All of the confidence that she had when she walked in, completely gone, completely deflated. And Lindsay is just so fucking proud of himself. Like, I love how irate he is as a boss. This has to be the nastiest I have seen Lindsay in both seasons. It was so nasty, and it's rooted in jealousy, and it's rooted in holding her back. And it's like, how many women have been in relationships with a And yes, this is a business relationship, but it is a relationship. When y'all see these women begin to flourish after they left their man, and you hear people be like, oh, so now you want to lose weight now that you're not with me no more. Now you want to start 3 businesses now that you're not with me no more. Because you were a fucking incubus, a leech, a poison. I spent all of my energy pouring into you and propping you up and making sure that you were successful, and you gave me shit back. Every time I reached the top, you pushed your boot down on the ceiling to lower me to prop yourself up. And so here Helen is going out of her way, and she's getting ready to go to the United States news. It's already made clear in Australia that they trying to be on the US's level in the first place. And that's why they shifted how they started covering news. But what Lindsay did is literally that. Because she was your best. And so because you cannot have your best because you mistreated your best, then you want to continue to try to break her spirits so that she could be somebody else's worse. But the thing about it is, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and you treated her like trash this whole fucking time. You treated her like trash this whole fucking time. But then conversely, like I said, this moment was also a moment where Helen is realizing how who Dale is to her in these moments. You treated him like trash. For the other gutter bitch, Charlie fucking Tate. That's like the one thing I agree with Lindsay on this whole thing. Like every time they said his name, like Charlie fucking Tate. Even when Dale said it, Charlie fucking Tate. Dale has kept you sober. He has kept you mentally stable. When people was at your head at the desk, he's holding your hand, he's encouraging you. When you were making decisions that he didn't want you to make, he still stood by you. And Charlie got you coked out, falling over the stairs after drinking a whole bottle of champagne. And then what? Going up and having sex with you? Did you consent? Would Dale have taken advantage of you in that state? And so this is really an episode of everybody figuring out, like, what they say? You don't miss your water till the well run dry. The well is dry for a lot of people. And then even with Lindsay confronting Dennis and trying to go off on him, I was so happy when Dennis punched him in his fucking face. Dennis apologized and Lindsay laughed and was like, don't apologize. And even offered him more money than Charlie was offering to even, get his job taken away, get Lindsay's job taken away or whatever. But it's just like, yeah, y'all may have worked it out like bros, but now you know, Lindsay, that your best will walk out on you at the drop of a fucking dime because you don't treat them well. You could be yelling, you could be irate, you could be on your way to a massive fucking heart attack. Just treat them well. Do that with everybody else outside of this news station. This is our house. This is our family. You want people to sit up here and continue to build this brick by brick, by hand, blood, sweat, and tears, work their ass off for you. But you're treating them like pack mules, not giving them any breaks, not giving them any food, not giving them any water. And then you're wondering why Helen is leaving. You're wondering why Dennis is about to sell you out for $50K. Why people are listening and looking around. This is your wake-up call too. This is your wake-up call too. Get your fucking shit together. Because Noelene, though she did not take Helen's offer with, poaching and bringing her to the US as a producer, we are even now we're seeing everybody just really settle into their confidence, settle into their voice, settle into who they want to be, even if it means walking away from something stable in order to pursue their dreams for the better of themselves, their home lives, and their mental health. But unfortunately for Dale, this is the thing and this is the dream. So his better is still underneath Lindsay. However, as we saw in this episode, when Dale first went to Lindsay and Dennis and was like, y'all can cut the shit, bring Jerry back, they listened. They listened to Dale. So we already kind of see Dale has some power and has some pull. He wasn't lying. He is becoming a very famous newsreader. He is becoming the face of Bulletin. And during this time, a breakup is not going to affect a man. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's going to affect Helen more than it's going to affect Dale. And even though Dale is turning into the Loch Ness Monster, he still protected Helen in his statement. He's just moving on in a way that best protects her and can solidify him without tarnishing anybody's name. And that's the only flicker of baby Dale that we see, okay? Bambi is in there somewhere, but he's like tucked away. He's in the sunken place, okay? He only comes out when a Flash is around. But this is Dale's dream. And one conversation in this that made me really get a really good deep glimpse into Dale, aside from the homophobia of it all and biphobia and the lies and the secrets, is this conversation with Geoff. When Geoff calls Dale and he mentions, people been calling me, I didn't say nothing. And you see Dale bristle just a little bit. But then Geoff is like, you're killing it. And I wasn't sure about you at first, but I've been watching you and you bring something fresh, you bring something new. And I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you. And Dale didn't have no daddy. And we know that Dale looked up to Geoff and Helen. And so Geoff giving him this praise on the heels of betraying his friend, on the heels of the breakup with Helen, on all of these other things, that literally just closed the lid on who Dale is about to be. And I told you about that first shot where Dale is like, I don't really want to do this, but okay, let me get into character. And throughout this entire season, every time you saw Dale in the dressing room, there was a little bit of a shift. There was a little bit of that. He's practicing. He's doing all these other things. He's doing his, he's getting ready. But in this final shot, he's in the mirror and there is no light in his eyes. Jaw clenched. He went, I don't even know. I feel like the wig changed. I feel like the wig shifted. Lestat was on his way out. Like somebody took over. It was literally the invasion of the body snatchers in this last frame. And he is just stone cold. And he gets up like a robot. Again, look at the house he just bought. It's sterile. The colors in that house in contrast with the colors in the house that he shared with Helen. Warm tones, cool tones. Yellow lights, blue lights. And even in this final frame, the lighting within this shot was whiter. There was more blue light in this final frame than everything that we've seen up until this point. And when he gets behind that desk, there is no shift from trepidation, from nervousness or anything. The face that you saw when he said, hello, I'm Dale Jennings and you're watching News at 6. That was the face that you saw when he walked up to that desk. No longer was he flipping between Dale and Bulletin Dale. Who you saw at the end of this episode is exactly who he became in that dressing room before he got his ass behind that desk. And I'm just like, my poor baby. My poor baby. I don't know if y'all seen Legend of Vox Machina, but the leader of the group, he was being haunted by this demon. And every time he got revenge on every time he used his gun that he made, he forged this gun out of revenge and anger. And every time he used this weapon on somebody who he basically wanted to like kill because of whatever happened in his youth, it was this darkness taking over him. And in one of the episodes, the darkness completely took over and like his friends couldn't get to him. It was him and that demon in that darkness. And it was just like kill, 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 kill. And if any of his friends got in the way, the name on the barrel of the gun would change to who they were because they were in the way of his bottom line. That's what happened to Dale Jennings in this finale. Season 2, episode 6, Fireworks. I didn't say the name of the episode, but y'all saw it on the title or whatever. But what an episode. Again, I feel like it could have been broken up because we just went through. There were too many other things. Like I feel like we could have gone through this without Rob proposing to Noelene. I think we could have also done without I don't know that we could have done without Geoff stepping down to focus on his family or whatever. I think Geoff stepping down definitely created the space for Dale to be whoever the fuck he is. I'm about to start calling him Lesdale when season 3 comes out, because Lestat is clearly here. He's in the room. So, but I do definitely feel like the Rob and Noelene story could have been cut out. Something else, I don't know. It was just too fast. It was too fast. We could have really just focused on the Dale transformation of it all. I would think I would have loved to see how Dale and Helen were actually handling the breakup instead of the multiple jumps. What led Dale to getting this place? What did he tell the realtor? Who else was he speaking to? Like, where was his support, and what were these conversations that were had in that? Did Helen go through a period of missing Dale even through her tryst with Charlie before she came back and tried to propose to him again? Like, those are like some of the things that I wish we could have seen, because then it would have brought that proposal together, and it would have really sold for me the questions that his mom was asking him about the house. The script kind of came off as, him brushing off her worry and brushing off of those other things, but he loves his mom. He's close to his mom. Were there conversations about this previously? Was she trying to ask him about the living situation with Helen, how he's feeling, how he's doing? Why did he suddenly become cold to her questions when he just brought her in to setting up an elaborate proposal with Helen? So those are just some of the nuanced things that I would have liked to see. And I feel like getting rid of Rob and Noelene's storyline with that could have helped. And yeah, we didn't need it. We still could have did the whole Helen approached Noelene and all these other things, but I think we could have just did without their scenes. Lindsay and Helen kind of going back and forth. I mean, it's kind of always their thing, but did she really need to confront him? I think we could have made it to her realization about Dale, not through the confrontation with Lindsay, but through maybe a bigger blow up with Charlie. Maybe even accusing Charlie for starting the rumors. Like, my mind says we could have gotten to the conclusion of her proposing and Dale saying no in a different way. Now, I didn't write the show. Am I a writer? Yes. Am I still working on my craft? Absolutely. Is everything I say gold and truth and forged in the fire? No. These are just my opinions. These are just my thoughts. It just felt like in that hour, the hour, funny enough, felt like 40 minutes. It was just coming at me so fast. It was just really, really coming at me crazy fast. And so that's why I'm just like, okay, if I wanted it to feel like an hour, I would have needed filler moments with this episode. And I think I would have really enjoyed removing Helen needing to go to Lindsay's office to learn about she already learned about the backstabbing. There was no need to confront him. She could have called him and left him a nasty ass message and still dropped the bomb about Dennis. But we could have got a little bit of confrontation with whatever the fuck Charlie had to say about Dale, because it's giving he's the one who leaked it. And I would have liked to see maybe a montage of how they were both separately handling the breakup and what vices they were using. Obviously, we saw a little bit of Helen's, but what else? Was she sad? Because it seemed really cold. It seemed like she didn't give a fuck about Dale having to go through this public breakup alone. And Dale is looking like everything is good and he's handling it well, but was he having breakdowns too? I would have liked that a lot. Would have liked it a lot. Now, if you're from Australia, and you watch this on ABC iView or, you VPN'd it or whatever, don't tell me nothing. I'm not looking at all. I'm practicing integrity. I don't want to know. These are just my thoughts about the end of season 2. I already said I don't think shit is going to go well for Dale at all. I did see like the huge meltdown scene or whatever in the different memes and gifs and stuff that were made. But I have no idea like what leads to this, what conversation kind of goes to that. But I'm also the type of person who, depending on the book, I will read the end of the book and then be super excited to see how we got there. So it doesn't spoil anything for me. I hope it doesn't spoil anything for y'all. But that is a wrap on season 2 of the Newsreader AMC. I'm going to keep requesting this. Okay. Talamasca comes out October 2026. Mayfair Witches is looking like a 2027 release if we stick with our trains. That means we're looking at a spring, early or late, I'm going to give you between March and May, release of The Vampire Lestat. You got between December and Feb to bring in season 3 of the Newsreader. Like, again, you're pimping our boy out. And you're trying to get the interview with the vampire and specifically the Lestat de Lioncourt fans into the Newsreader. And I appreciate that for you. It is great marketing. So, like, do that then. Like, do that. Season 3, the Newsreader, AMC Plus, anywhere between December of 2025, February 2026. You heard it here you heard it here voiced. You heard it here voiced. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. Let me know your theories. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree with what I said, then let me know. If you disagree with what I said, then respectfully disagree. What are your alternative moments for the season and for Dale and Helen's journey? Okay. If you got people that only listen, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I share film and TV news and updates. Those tacos are calling me. Film and TV news and updates. You can follow me on TikTok, where I do short form reviews at Kivanchi. Again, I do reviews on shows that I do not talk about on this canal. And as always, you can find me on the Twitter streets, okay? Shaking my cup for coins. And for some engagement, I'm playing. I don't do this shit for engagement. If I did, I would monetize my platform, but I don't. And I won't. What the fuck am I talking about? Follow me on Twitter at Kivashi. And with that, I will catch y'all in the next podcast episode. I can't believe this is it for the Newsreader. This is not goodbye. This is see you later.